Hey everyone, welcome back to Stratholme. Today we're going to be doing the living side. Last two runs I had the same gear, but this time I swapped out my Lionheart helm for the Conqueror's crown. The extra armor and stamina make a pretty good difference when doing dungeons like this by yourself. For these groups of undead going through them, I'm going to be killing the non-elite skeletons as fast as possible so I can have four or less monsters, so Whirlwind will help hold aggro from the healing that I have to do. I forgot to buff right at the very beginning, so I quickly buffed in the middle of that group. That group is just non-elite skeletons, so not much damage going out. Throughout this place, I'm going to try to keep an eye on the patrols that wander around with my priest, and I'm going to try to shackle them in good positions so I don't have to wait a while for them to walk around. If you're not careful when killing these big packs of monsters, the patrols can come in and pretty easily kill you. I've had many wipes in here not paying attention to them. And for this, I saw the patrol walking into the group, but I didn't really want to wait, so I just charged in and I shackled him right there and pulled the monsters back. I don't have to worry too much about getting out of combat with my priests. The tier 2 set works pretty well with mana regen, so I never was starved on it. I think I only reshackled once during the fight. Shackle lasts a good amount of time. I feel like the looting was one of the things that took the longest, but I wanted to make sure to loot everything on my warrior because I'm trying to finish getting too exalted with Argent Dawn. I hit one of the bad crates and decided that I'm not going to loot any of the crates on this run because that was just another time consuming thing. So after I finished this run, I ran back and found the good crates. Just like my Stratholme Undead run, this also has a decent amount of good crates to loot for holy water. Holy water will be very handy when you get into Naxxramas. In this section, there are two of those ghoul patrols. So after this, I don't have to worry about any more just in this section. But it doesn't take long before you run into more patrols. In this case, I decided to pull the group back because there was a couple patrols going around, but they weren't in range. Luckily, these packs don't really do a whole lot of damage. They just have enough monsters to make it annoying to try to hold aggro on all of them. Those cadavers that spawn, you want to try to kill pretty quick, or else they'll do around 1,000 damage to anybody in a certain radius. The patchworks, whenever they knock you back, they drop aggro on that target, so you have to be ready to quickly switch into defensive stance and taunt. They do a lot of damage, so they can kill the healer pretty quick. I saw the ghoul walking back and I wanted to shackle him before he got in range of the other group. Be careful of where you position yourself a lot because of those citizens. They walk around a lot, and if you aggro them, they are not really too fun to deal with. They're easy to kill, but they cast a curse on you that lasts for 4 or 5 minutes, and it will randomly spawn a ghost that will start attacking you. But it has almost no life, but they're just annoying to deal with. The citizens also have a high dodge rate. These gates have the rats that spawn in, but they're easy to take care of with Holy Nova. I think that's the only time I've used that amount of mana throughout this whole run. Right there, I ran my priest out of range. Or not out of range, I just ran my priest away from my warrior when pulling the monsters back. If you have your priest or other healer within a distance of the monsters, I've had them randomly just switch over to my healer before when running him back, even when casting no spells whatsoever. So I usually try to keep my priest away from my warrior when I pull monsters back. Especially with doing stuff like this, it's always much better to be as safe as possible. I didn't mean to start wanding the monster, but it worked because I just wanted to pull the monster back before it got into another group. The other thing that's good to do is instead of positioning him like I was, although my intercept was up, so it worked. Um, Position yourself between your healer and the abomination. That way, you get knocked backwards towards the person he's going to run to make it easier to taunt. One thing I did not have for this run, which I wish I did have, but I've just never been lucky on the drop for them yet, are the gloves off of the magistrate that make you immune to disarm. The humanoid monsters up ahead, the guards, they like to disarm you a lot, and that can sometimes cause issues because you want to make sure to kill them as fast as possible before they start running away. Pretty much all of the humanoids run away. The conjurers, I like to try to pull back just a tiny bit because I don't want them running into other groups. And they also like to Frost Nova. But you can quickly, if you're on a priest, you can switch over to your priest and you can dispel magic. Guardsmen are the ones that disarm, I think. I like to position my priest in that little cubby just to help in case the guardsmen charge and knock my priest back anywhere. The guardsmen like to charge if they are in range of somebody else. But if you are at max healing range, they will not charge you. So I like to try to keep a good distance. If you only have one on you, it's not quite so bad. They don't hit very hard, so all I need to do is cast a hot every now and then. If you are in melee range with the guardsmen, they will shield bash you and counter spell anything that you're casting at the time. These groups you have to be careful because if you go in at any other position, you can pull the other groups around you. You want to make sure to be the farthest monster away each pull. Except for when I get disarmed, I always try to make sure my execute is ready to be hit right when the monster becomes in range for health. But monsters keep getting away from me because I'm disarmed, which is another good reason to have immune to disarm. That chest kind of lagged on me a little bit, so I couldn't tell that it was a trap before it was too late. I forgot to mention the initiates. I think this is the first one that I had. You want to make sure to kill them first and be ready to disrupt them right away because their healing is pretty quick. It doesn't matter if you intercept, interrupt their heal over time or their heal spell. They're both linked to holy spells, so it'll stop both of them from being cast. I decided to go over and kill that guardsman because I wanted the chance for another righteous orb. The price on those on my server were going back up again, so I wanted to try to get as many as I could. My order of kill on these guys is initiate first, then the conjurer, and then the guardsman. Right after you kill the last monster in this group, Timmy the Cruel spawns. He's the first boss we run into. He is just a tank and spank boss, but he can hit really hard. So the first couple times I tried, I'd lose almost half my health in one hit, and I died a few times. So I decided to start just killing him only in defensive stance. And while I was in defensive stance, I didn't seem to have any troubles with him. And he has a little bit of life too, so it takes a minute to kill him. So this little room is just long enough to where if you keep your priest on or healer on the one end and charge in and stay on the other side, the guardsmen will not charge you. But you just have to be careful for them not to run away into the next room and body pull more monsters. Took me a while before I had a good clear run without aggroing any other groups. And if you can't do this right away, just keep trying. It takes a little bit of practice to get this down and to understand what the monsters do. When I don't have any initiates in the group, I like to try to make sure to pummel the conjurers when they're casting their water elementals. They are annoying, but not too difficult to deal with. I left that one just pounding on the priest because it wasn't doing a whole lot. And don't forget the undead patrols once you kill certain groups, because I forgot them every time, I think. In this run, I skipped Cannon Master WIlly. The trash to get to him were giving me a lot of problems, and I was having very poor luck trying to kill him, so I decided to leave him out of this video. If you guys want a video of me trying to kill Cannon Master WIlly, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and when I get time, I will see what I can do. Having two initiates in the group can kind of suck. I like to try to make sure my death wish is up when I'm dealing with a group like that. They heal a lot, but they really don't have a whole lot of life, so you can kill them pretty quickly. This might be a good place to farm. The trash in here drop a Warlock class book that was released in Phase 6. Also, the Archivist can drop a Mage class book for a new rank of food, which is also released with Phase 6. Ooh, I almost died there. Forgot about that. I had monsters running around and the guards kept charging because I was too close, and I ended up getting down to a couple hundred life. Luckily, I recovered it and didn't actually wipe. The gallants don't really have any tricks to them, just tank and spank. They're pretty easy for the most part. They put a holy debuff on you, but it doesn't do a whole lot. This guy is really easy to kill. He just stuns every now and then, but he doesn't drop aggro when he stuns, so you don't have to worry about anything on the healer. But you do need to interrupt that holy light. The holy light heals for a good chunk of life. Every time I pull, I always try to make sure my priest has a good distance. This run, I ended up getting a total of 4 righteous orbs. I think that was pretty good for one run. This room isn't quite so bad. If you're on the last group and you need to, you can fear these guys. There isn't anybody in range for them to pull. These groups, you want to make sure to kill the battle mages first. They do a lot of damage. The Inquisitors kind of suck because they do a channel ability that does quite a bit of damage, the Mind Flay, but you still want to worry about the battle mage first. They have very little life, so they die really quick. I think up here in the next room, Lister died once, but I was able to run my priest back and use a reset spot that I found. If the monsters are too close to you, the reset point will not work, but I was able to fear the monsters enough when running back that they were not close enough to me. these guys. I think it's the monks. They hit kind of hard sometimes. I saw my life chunk really low a few times. The sorcerers will sheep, so you need to be careful not to be close to your healer. I think the range on the sheep is a pretty good distance, but it still won't hit at max healing reach. This group you want to pull back. If you don't pull back, you have a chance of pulling the group in the room on the left, and also there is a patrol on the right that goes really close to the door. I died a few times forgetting about them. I think it was this group that I died on. Yeah. I finished off the battle mage and I feared and ran. I was hoping that I wasn't going to wipe here. That run back kind of sucks. As I was running back, I was trying to find a few places here and there that I could jump up on to try to use as a reset spot. I wasn't sure if the boxes would work or not, but there was a point that I was running up to him once before and thought that it might work. It's pretty easy to get up there. Just gotta. I jumped it over too far the first attempt, but they were still too far away. So if you need to, you can use that spot to reset if you mess up like I did. I wanted to wait a second to make sure they disappeared before starting to run. There we go. Figured I should leave that in the video so you guys can see in case you have any mishaps like that. Sometimes what I just did right there is if a monster still has a lot of life and I don't want to pull aggro but I need to heal, I will quickly cast Fade first and then start to cast a heal. Because while you're faded, usually you will not generate more threat during the fade timer. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I've experienced so far. I forgot about Skeleton Patrol again. Oh well, luckily they're not too deadly. As a male human, you cannot fit between the wall and that candlestick. As a female human, you can. There is two monsters in the room right off to the left there, but they are pretty far back in there, so generally you won't body pull them. And with this last group here, this is the last one before the Archivist and Balnazar. Oh yeah, the humanoid patrol when you kill the last group, last monster in the group. It's an easy one to kill, but if you're not aware, it can catch you off guard. So Archivist Galford, he's pretty easy for the most part. He can hit kind of hard, and he does an enveloping winds that will envelop the target in fire, and they are stunned. But it's not an aggro drop, and it is a magic ability, so you can just dispel magic it. I was trying to keep my distance on my priest because I don't know the range on it, and I don't know if he would cast it on my priest or not. It's always safe to assume to keep your priest at max range. And whenever he casts a pyroblast, since it cannot be pummeled, I just made sure to always put a power word shield up right before it goes off. He did a lot of damage. I ended up using a lot of mana on my priest for that fight. So I was wrong before when I thought I used the most mana in this run. So Balnazar, keep the healer at max healing range, and he will not cast any of his abilities on the priest. This ended up being a really easy fight. It was just tank and spank the whole time. I think there was one point when my warrior got feared once. That was when he shapeshifts into the demon. But he is actually pretty easy to kill. Just trying to move around a little bit so I could position him a little bit farther away from the priest. When he shapeshifts, he stuns both everybody in the room, so you want to make sure your tank or whoever is it close to full life when it happens. There it is. He feared me, but he didn't move because he was casting a mind blast, so that was lucky in that it let me keep my priest at max distance still. And right at the end, I popped my recklessness because I didn't need it for anything else and killed him really fast on execute phase. And that is Stratholme Live. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I was a day late on posting this video, and I apologize. Hopefully my next video will be on Friday, right on time. Thank you guys.